Honey Boo Boo.
That'll make me holler, Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo.
My special juice is gonna help me well.
There came Honey Boo Boo, and we came to watch. We sat transfixed in stilted awe that we so crassly could conceive. We cried, how could it come to this? Has culture fallen to the ground? How could we in this third millennium make such an object, display so wantonly our basest figures? Quite easily, in fact. Here Comes Honey Boo Boo can be read as the culmination of a long tradition, of which Alana is the latest incarnation. Let us put aside the specifics of Alana's temperaments
I like scaring them up because I like to get dirty like pig.
and place Alana in the context of 4 other people. Alana, meet Lazarus, Sarah, Joseph, and Johnny. Let's start with Lazarus. Lazarus Colloredo was born in 1617 in Genoa, along with his twin brother Johannes Baptista, named for John the Baptist. We don't know much about the twins' early lives, but it must have been difficult, seeing as they were quite attached. Jutting out from his brother's torso, Johannes Baptista was mute, and Lazarus was forced to conceal his brother with a heavy cloak when he traveled. But they were lucky, relatively, to live in a new Europe where such deformities were no longer considered ill omens or signs of demonic possession. So the Colloredos lived to adulthood, and made their living traveling Europe so that king and commoner alike could bear witness to their nature, centuries before Chang and Eng Bunker forever linked the conjoined twin to Siam. Handsome Lazarus and his poor, mute twin were among the first to entice the West into the perverse spectacle of seeing. The Colloredos were hardly unique. The spectacle was held all across Europe. Shakespeare wrote of the practice in The Tempest, when the character Trinculo finds the sleeping body of the monstrous Caliban. Were I in England now, as once I was, and had but this fish painted, not a holiday fool there but would give a piece of silver, there would this monster make a man. Any strange beast there makes a man. When they will not give a doit to relieve a lame beggar, they will lazy out 10 to see a dead Indian. The perverse spectacle of seeing indulged not only in deformity, but race. As European empires grew, it was not uncommon to bring back captured natives and put them on display. What was Pocahontas, if not an advertisement for the Virginia tobacco trade? This brings us to our second figure, whom we will call Sarcha. A Khoi woman born near the Gamtus River, she was given the name Sarcha, or Little Sarah, when she was captured by Afrikaan slavers. Her Khoisan name was lost to history. Sarcha Bartman was bought by an English surgeon named Alex Dunlop, who had a side business providing animals to British circus owners. It was he who brought Sarcha to England in 1810, where Londoners could gaze at her steatopygia, her enlarged buttocks. She was exhibited as the Hottentot Venus, a specimen of African femininity, marked by the difference between her and her white audience. She died 5 years later from causes theorized to be anything from consumption to syphilis. She was 25. The business that bought Sarcha bought her for her otherness. The perverse spectacle of seeing those less fortunate than God-fearing Christians who paid a penny spread across the West from Piccadilly Circus to Barnum and Bailey's. The 19th century was the heyday of this attitude, where traveling circuses each would have their own menagerie of the different. A showman would announce each person, dehumanized as curiosities, by telling an elaborate and always false tale of their origins.
Consider the fate of this creature's poor mother. Struck down in the 4th month of her maternal condition by an elephant, a wild elephant.
In this scene, directed by David Lynch, we meet our third figure, and perhaps the most famous of the 4, Joseph. Much has already been written about Joseph Merrick, dead at a young 27, whose numerous, ever-growing tumors warped his body and branded him with the cruel nickname, the Elephant Man, so we shall not dwell on his story long, only to summarize the central story of Merrick's life, the question of how he was watched. Was Dr. Treves right in thinking he was exploited by his carnival? Or was Norman right in thinking he was better off earning a living than imprisoned in a hospital? In either case, Merrick was watched. Always watched. His form could only be glimpsed by thousands in London, but the emerging medium of film allowed millions to see a form. Enter our last figure, Johnny. John Eckhart Jr. was born, with his identical twin brother, in Baltimore, 1911. Both were handsome, talented, and possessed of good humor, but Robert was born without defect, while Johnny stopped at the waist. Without legs, Johnny developed remarkable upper arm strength and entered various circuses, upbeat all the while. When asked if he wished he had legs, he would respond, "Why would I want those? Then I would have pants to press." Johnny Eck, as he was known, eventually found his way to Hollywood as a supporting character in a unique film. Directed by Todd Browning, recently triumphed from his adaptation of Dracula, the film was a gathering of real circus entertainers. Not just Johnny Eck, but Prince Randian, the twins Daisy and Violet Hilton, Josephine Joseph, and many others. The film was ostensibly a horror story, but the villains were the normal people, looking to exploit and dehumanize the Brotherhood of Curiosities. The perverse spectacle of seeing was questioned. While there were extensive scenes of the performers simply being, the moral was unquestionably, are we not human and kin? Are we not worthy of respect? The film was a box office disaster, destroying Todd Browning's career. One angry viewer ranted in a letter, "To put such creatures in a picture and before the public is unthinkable." There are many others, of course, far too numerous to mention here, but these four can chart the history of the perverse spectacle of seeing. All of them were outliers from the white, able-bodied hegemony, and all of them displayed for their otherness, a negative self-definition for the audience member. This is not me. I am not this. Thank God I am not this. With smugness, the viewer can see the things that he is not, look down on traits as innocuous as dwarfism, or gigantism, or intersexuality, or even having numerous tattoos, or race, or race, or race. The sideshow is not gone, but it's unlikely to make a huge comeback, mostly due to a disposition often called political correctness, which is a florid way of saying basic human f***ing decency. But the practice has survived, albeit changed. The perverse spectacle of seeing only needs a new subject. A great many things are off the table, so what now? Class. These rednecks, these outliers, these scavengers, overbreeders, and leeches. To the left, they cling to their guns and their religion. To the right, they are the 47%. Moochers, ignoramus, yet undeniably human. The perverse spectacle of seeing continues. Step right up, come one, come all. We have captured the noble savage. Pity the poor creatures. These, the most remarkable beings ever to draw breath.
I wish I had an extra finger, then I can grab my cheese ball.
It's too soon to tell what will happen to Alana Thompson, whether she'll grow up happily, if her family will use their success to lift themselves out of poverty, or if she'll evolve scarred from all the wounds her audience has inflicted upon her. But for now, let us extend a hand of friendship to this poor, troubled soul. For is she not a human and sister? Alana Thompson, we accept you. One of us. We accept you. One of us. Gooble gobble, we accept her, one of us. We accept her, one of us. Gooble gobble,
We accept her, Google gobble.
One of us. One of us.
Google gobble. One of us.